It is 3:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, December 19th, 2025. I'm going to be Director Brian Knight. Call sign 0495. My right-hand side.
Jessica Springfield, San Andreas State Marshals 020 at 20:03 GMT.
In front of me is going to be Justice Greyson. I'm going to go ahead and Mirandize you. At this time, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. And out of for an attorney, one will be provided for you by the state. One is available. I understand that we have no intention to push any formal charges. I'm just Mirandizing you for sake of posterity. So the reason for the recording and the conversation is there are a series of things that have been brought up to light. Let me sort of like preempt this entire conversation by stating that it is very awkward that SASM is even a part of the election process, as we have a innate responsibility to ensure we have to oversee government entities. So partaking in the political process is rather strange, including but not limited to the series of questions we're going to be asking you. So, okay. But with that being said, that's why I'm being rather forward about it. And I have a couple questions for you. If you would like an attorney, you could, choose to get one or, answer questions to your own will. And then if you decide you want an attorney before answering any more, I'll leave that up to you. So with that said, would you like to continue on?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to represent myself.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to be pretty direct with my first set of questions, and then at the end of which I can give an explanation for it, as to where these questions are coming from, so that I'm not sort of inducing you to answer any specific way. So there is the nomination process for the Chief Justice, in which it is stated that I'm going to actually read verbatim here. It states that the internal decision for making these nominations are decided internally by each faction. Quite specifically, it says Department of Justice can nominate up to 3 names. Now, in the plain reading of this, and based on the the posting from Faulkner, it appears as though the DOJ internally decided by the core representatives of that government agency, being the justices, that you are going to be the sole nominee. Now, there's kind of a couple of key things, and we were speaking on the phone just now. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I believe the conversation, to paraphrase, was effectively, of the 4 justices, you're the only one that wanted to run. Is that correct?
At this point, that's my understanding, yes.
Yes. And that is our understanding as well. Now the question is being brought up, and I'm not a judge, right? Nor do I know who the fuck would ultimately make this decision.
And yeah, it's confirmed. They can't.
What was the process by which that internal selection was made?
I don't know. I had no part in any vote in the nomination because I offered myself as a nomination.
Oh.
I did not vote on myself to become a nominee. I offered myself as a nominee to the other justices. There's been ongoing conversations for the past, 2 weeks or something. Since this went up? When did this go? Is it we're over a week now, right? However long it's been.
Yeah, you've wanted to take the position.
Yeah, I wanted the position. I made myself known. At no point have I taken part in any votes on any other candidates because I wanted the position.
So
It was my understanding at the beginning that other justices wanted it and then have dropped out subsequently.
okay, maybe that's where some of this confusion's then coming from. And for the recording, I'm sick as shit, so you'll probably hear me sucking on a cough drop trying to stay alive. So as far as you're aware, you are unaware of what the process was? And
I'm
please correct me if I'm
unaware
wrong.
of it. Yeah. I'm unaware of how the other justices voted for this. I don't know. 2 days ago, Danielson approached me and said, "You're it. We're giving you the nomination." That's as much of the process as I know. We're going to go all in on you. And then it took them 2 days to put up the nomination. But yeah, I wasn't asked to take part in a vote. I didn't take part in a vote. All I know is that Sean said it was me and then Murray put it up.
Are you a decision infers, in my opinion, some form of quorum. As absent that a quorum, it wouldn't innately be a decision by the entity of the DOJ, right? So in other words,
I
if
don't
you
see why not.
So if you yourself were to put up 3 names unilaterally, would that be
wouldn't do that.
representative of the DOJ?
I wouldn't think so.
So you would need some sort of quorum, no?
Yes, but considering I had 2 justices directly tell me it was going to be me, one, Sean directly
No.
said, "It's you. We've decided."
Absolutely.
It's you.
Sorry, I'm not.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I get that, right?
Mhm.
I'm sort of leading us to a point is that it would need some form of quorum, and based on what you're saying, it sounds like the other 3 justices are like, I bet 2 of us ain't going. Greyson's going. We're going to put his name up, right? So in a way, there was a bit of a quorum. Or was there not a quorum? Are you aware whether or not there was a quorum?
I'm not aware. I'm aware that Sean told me directly, "We've decided it's going to be you." And then Murray put it up, and that's 2 of the 3 justices involved right there, right? So as long as Gates agreed with them, that's unanimous, not just a quorum.
Do you know if there was even a quorum? Or how, do you know whether or not Faulkner consulted with the others?
I mean, I know that Sean told me it was me the day before Murray put up the nomination, so I'm assuming.
Oh, so there
But,
may have been.
no,
Okay.
I don't know, but I'm assuming because it all makes sense. It all it follows on, right? One of the justices says, "Hey, we've decided it's going to be you," and then the next day they do it.
So where I'm going with this is, so the issue is that, so let me just put this kind of directly. If Sean wanted to run, would he be able to?
I mean, I'm assuming at that point they'd be asking me if I was wanting to nominate him, right? At that point, would I get involved? I don't know. I mean, from my understanding, what I understand is that Sean withdrew, and at that point they decided they were going to go all in on me.
Were you at all, outside of being nominated, did you have any participation in the decision making for who would be nominated?
I fought my corner. I gave them the same pitch I gave you.
No. I understand that.
Did I have conversations about why anybody else should or shouldn't know?
You put yourself forward to the rest of the judiciary to be nominated. Is that correct?
To the justices, yes.
To the justices. But did you partake in in choosing the nominations?
No.
So you did not have any sway on your own nomination.
I have not voted on any nominee at all. No.
What about opinion or statement or any of that. Did you?
I mean,
Did you
in the same regard, when I talked to you about, you asked me why you, not Murray. I will give my opinion. Yeah.
but not in regards to the process by which you choose up to 3 nominees.
I had
Is
no
that
say in that.
okay?
Once I put myself forward as a nominee, I wouldn't get involved in that conversation.
Okay. Jessica.
No, I have nothing. I'm mostly just listening to the. Everything sounds fine to me so far.
Yeah. As with me. The concern.
Can I ask? Will
Yeah,
the same questions
absolutely.
be asked of Sheriff Frost and how he told me he was only nominating his friend because his friend helped him? When literally in that it is the Blaine County Sheriff's Office will get to decide, but it seems like he made a unilateral decision. That's interesting.
Will Sheriff Frost be asked?
Yeah, because like I'm being asked, how the justice panel made a decision, right?
Mhm.
Sheriff Frost made a unilateral decision on behalf of the entirety of the Blaine County Sheriff's Office for a friend. That's an interesting decision, right?
I can't. I can't answer that question, right?
Okay, no, you're just raising it.
Yeah. There's also, you do recognize that it's kind of 2 different circumstances. I'll be more explicit. The 4 justices represent the organization at the highest level, whereas the sheriff represents his organization. The respective mayors, their organization, the chief of police, his respective organization, and as has been outlined on the posting, it's a internal decision, right? So if y'all as justices, and it's very plain reading, and I'm open to other interpretations we may not be aware of, we might be missing an angle here, but how that internal decision is made would land on Frost, on Pred, on Dawn, on what's his name?
Denzel.
Denzel, thank you. But in the DOJ's cases, it's 4, right? And or mine, for example, when it comes to SASM, which rather forwardly, we're gonna have a very unique way of presenting ours, because personally, I don't want SASM to be too. I don't like that we even get a voice. I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of strange.
I'm going to be honest, and like this has been raised because apparently some concerns were raised with people. I think internally in the doctors, they were asking why EMS and doctors didn't get a vote. I kind of feel the same way about the lawyers, but like this is a state decision. It was outside of my pay grade.
No, and I get their perspective, right? I'm not going that deep.
Mhm.
But just as internally as the director, when I look at this, internally I can decide we're only going to put up candidates that haven't been put up yet. And then which is what I'm going to do, or I'm going to abstain from nominating. And then I'm going to have my command vote as they choose.
Okay.
And if they choose to abstain, they can, because from my perspective, casting a public vote for a chief justice to me is kind of gross for SASM to do, because regardless of what my relationship with may be, it's going to be brought into question, right? I vote for you, I vote for Angel, I vote for the next person. Is there more meaning behind that than what is posted on the forum? I don't even want that question to be brought up when it comes to our organization, because we have a responsibility to oversee government wings, right?
Okay. I mean, I can respect that. I understand. Sometimes it's the appearance and not even the reality of it, and that'll conflict you. I get it. I totally understand.
Yeah. I ain't trying to, I'm not, It's a relationship I like bringing up. Like Mr. Kaj Patel, you know? Brian Knight. I'm not trying to pull one of those. We will be releasing the files, by the way, as soon as.
Okay.
Oh, good timing too. Isn't that today?
Is it?
Yeah. Deadline's today.
But I want to be honest about it. When I look at all this, when I look at the nomination stuff, when I look at this is the way I'm trying to run it, right? I'm just trying to talk to people one-on-one, sell myself as, you know, a professional, not as a person. I'm not leaning on people on like personal relationships. I don't think it's appropriate. I think the DOJ itself should be a neutral party and a neutral body. And I think that like finding a chief justice, you should be looking for a neutral party and neutral body, not a political entity. You know, it is what it is.
I want to respect your platform for getting a nomination or the votes. The primary reason I brought this up is it came to light that Sean wants to put himself up, and I'm confused why he's unable to. And
I don't think he's unable
it's
to.
sounding like rather transparently, and I said this to him too, and I'll say this to the other justices as well, is that, and this might sound pedantic, but so be it. I ain't trying to get you guys jammed up, but if y'all have to make a collective decision on what the position of the DOJ is, and the position including but not limited to the choosing of up to 3 nominees, if there is no process, if it cannot be articulated, and especially when one of the sitting justices is unable to, whether social pressures or otherwise, put themselves up, that raises a lot of red flags, right? And question marks, regardless of whether there is or is not any wrongdoing. I'm just being rather forward, right?
Well, let me be just as forward, right? I did not put myself up. I asked the justices to nominate me, but I had no say-so or engagement in who the nominee was, right? At that point, I stepped back. As far as I was aware, Sean expressed an interest early on and then withdrew his candidacy and told me to my face, I'm withdrawing, we're getting behind you.
Yeah, I don't think truthfully, I don't really think you did any of that. I think, like I said, my main concern is it sounds like,
oh, you have to look, dude. I'm glad you are looking, because if this was shady, like, somebody needs to look.
I don't think it's necessarily shady. The more, and this is why I like asking questions and being forward. It gets the truth out, right? It sounds to me like it was more than likely, y'all were like, hey, only one of us is running. We're going to put up Greyson, and which is fine. That's within your rights. I don't see anything inherently wrong with it from a legal perspective. But absent, because a process doesn't exist, now Sean wants to run, but there is no way by which he can convey that interest while being within the fucking deciding body, right? But equally, the same can be said about a magistrate or a judge that may want to put something forward. And without anything that's written, and I'll tell you exactly what I told Sean, I have had to pressure my own marshals and deputy marshals very recently that when we have to give notice to someone, right, it should be written. And the question becomes, well, why do we got to write it down? Why can't we just talk about it? Because I'm sure you know as much as I do that when there's an ask to produce or something comes into question,
yes,
if it's not written, people will fucking lie out of their fucking, like the most innocent people will lie through their fucking teeth if it's a difference between being liked and not being liked, rather than what is right and what is wrong and what is truthful and what is not truthful.
It also becomes an issue when people just don't want to admit, oh, I was lazy, I forgot. They'll lie out the teeth to avoid that shit.
Yeah. So I think between my conversation with you and Sean thus far, and I haven't spoken to the others, I'm going to try to, is my advice is that y'all probably want to throw some kind of process up I'm not going to tell you how to do it or under threat of any arrest or any shit like that. But I hope that I've at least highlighted, like, hey,
Yeah, I get it.
guys, you probably want to write some shit down because otherwise it don't smell right. And, you know, for your own protection and so that, you know, there is no, you don't want a scenario where someone goes and says they tried to run and they couldn't run and it turns into a fucking shit show and then causes problems with this whole thing when it can be easily resolved otherwise.
I mean, like, internally, we've known about this coming from longer than the state, right? Longer than, you know, San Andreas as a lodge. The discussions have been ongoing. The DOJ has known this is coming. But I'm going to be frank with you. The day it happened, there was no really advance notice. It was like, oh, it's happening now. And then it was like, oh, we're going to wait until the election's over. It's going up now. And procedure probably could have been padded out a bit. I won't deny that. But the reaction to it this week and the week running up to Christmas, and in light of the ongoing mayoral election that we were dealing with at the same time, and then the changes to what we're dealing with in relation to incident reports and internal communications and stuff. I'm gonna be real. I wouldn't put down to malice, which is just come down to people being fucking buried this week. You know, I think people have been buried and made, you know, probably quicker, less formal decisions that probably would have happened else at other times.
I don't think any of this is. I'm not going to blame the DOJ for doing any less or more in this respect.
No,
because people are only
well, this is the first run.
Exactly.
We're creating a foundation here, and that's why we feel it's important to have these discussions, because it may not be the final route that legislation ends up in, and it's good to have these discussions as we
I think there'll be
experience this.
changes.
Yeah. Like, do you mind if I ask your opinion on something?
I'm here.
In
I'm
regards
being
to it?
recorded.
One of the things you mentioned about was the lawyers. How some of the lawyers felt they didn't have a say. Well, as we saw from the state's decisions, the lawyers are part of the Department of Justice. And with the DOJ getting 3 nominations, was there a consideration about having maybe other parts of the Department of Justice, the magistrates, the judges, the lawyers, the court clerks, having input and allowing them collectively to submit a nomination? I mean, again, you guys get to decide how your system works. It's literally written in the legislation. Y'all decide how to select these nominees.
Yeah,
but with
I'm
so
gonna
many
be real.
nominees as an option,
The state's decision that came down, I don't particularly think fell specifically in relation to a lot of our legislation and the way lawyers are classified. Specifically, defense attorneys and lawyers reclassified it are, you know, only considered government employees when acting as a defense attorney, right? Not in other aspects of the law or having a bar license. And I think the fact that there were 2 separate conditions in running. One was a bar license. The other one was a role in the Department of Justice. I didn't foresee that being the state's response legally, but it was, and then we have to pivot, right? So, you know, I think pivoting after the fact's different.
And the legislation was written extremely vaguely. And so a lot of open interpretations are allowed on this. Sorry, Director, go ahead.
No. Those are good questions. Yeah, and I want to re-underline what, I want to double down on what Springfield said here is, you know, this conversation is, hey, we found what might be an exposed nail. Let's talk about it, see if, you know, if it needs to be resolved. If not, here's our suggestion, right? Rather than, I don't like things festering. I rather,
I don't either.
Hey, like, we found exposed nail. Hey, should we nail it down? Right.
I think to be frank and open, I think expecting us right now to fix a situation that a new Chief Justice in a week and a half will want to fix themselves is probably, jumping the gun. Like, I've told other people I'm not going to be legislating anything in the next week and a half either.
Well,
I
I'm
think
not.
it being done in bad taste. No, but what I'm saying is, Brian,
Yeah.
if it's me, I'll fix it. Trust me, I'll get it done. And if you wanna be a part of that process and give like specific advice, like if you want reports made in the MDT with nomination decisions and how it's done, more than happy to do that and share the reports with you directly because I think it should be transparent, especially with you guys.
That'd be
But
nice.
yeah, like I'm more than done.
I just to be clear as to what my advice is, and once again, not a demand or like threat of like, if y'all don't do this, y'all doing something wrong. But based on my personal opinion is that if we found out that there's a justice that's trying to run and there is no means by which he could put his name forward or another entity within the DOJ, like that sounds a little cooked. And
hey, look, if I felt like I was being blocked that way, I'd have complaints too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And to that point, right? Sean is a very obvious answer, right? Or a very obvious problem because he is a part of the decision-making body. And so it would be even worse for someone in the DOJ, be it a lawyer, be it a judge, be it a clerk, whatever, that wanted to do so, but there was no avenue. And is that a problem? Who's to say? The state. And absent, and do we really want to wait and knock on the door of the state, or the hypothetical of someone going and making a stink about it and y'all not being prepared, right? And therefore my advice would be, and I don't think this is very difficult, is and y'all don't have to do this, right? But if I was in your position, I'd probably be like, yo, dog, you trying to run? Put your names up, and we, the justices, will decide whether to put your name up by our internal process, right? At least that way there's a very salient, open, like, means by which someone can put their name up with with no fear, no this, no that, and then you internally decide, and then what's done is done.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
But like, literally, the second this started, the way I treated it, Brian, as a candidate for nomination was, I'm going to go out and reach out to every nominating party and ask them to interview me, right? The way I did with you. That's what I did with the justices. That's what I did with Blaine County. It's what I did with the LSPD. It's what I did with Salma. It's literally what I've done with everyone.
I see that. I see what you're saying. What you're saying is that if these individuals truly want to get nominated, that they need to go out themselves, and
that's how I did it. That's how I've had to approach every other department, right? And that's what I did internally too. Like,
makes sense.
They say where I come from locally, shy burns getting out, which translates as, shy children don't get anything. And that's the way I live my life, right? Like, if I want something, I ask for it. If I want to be heard out, I ask for it. If I want to talk to somebody, I ask for it. And I'm going to tell you, here's the honest truth, right? Nobody has approached me as a justice and asked for my nomination.
Okay. Well, Greyson, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I'm good. Like, honestly, I'm happy for the conversation. I'm happy to get this out there. Because you've indicated to me you want to ask other people questions. I don't want to raise this internally, but do you think I should?
You can.
I don't want to do. I don't want to, like, hook you out of what you're doing, right?
No, look, this isn't like some crazy active investigation. There's a reason why I'm sort of had to say the same thing to Sean, like, hey guys, this seems like a problem. You might want to get ahead of this before before some entity has to figure out whether or not it actually is a problem, right? It's like, so anyways.
Okay, I'll raise it with the justices, including Sean, and just see if he's got anything to say. Because literally 2 days ago, he's like, I'm pulling out, you're the dude.
He said as much to us. And, to me, this is not a private conversation, right? When you're looking for a nominee.
Yeah, it's public, right? It should be public.
And I think he, have a chat with him, I would say.
Yeah, I will.
All right.
I appreciate the heads up. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Stay safe, everybody.
You too. We're going to go ahead and end the recording here at 3:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.